Hi everyone, it's Andrew. We're up in the man cave and we're here to do take 2 of my unboxing. As you can see, it's already open because I've already done an unboxing of this, but it didn't get very far. The reasons why will become apparent very shortly. So we're going to have a little look at this in our little Wednesday evening episode, and I'm also going to give you a catch up on the House of Styrene. So first up, what's in here? Well, in here is a new body, and I'll put it in the description, so you probably already know what it is. It's a Unimog shell for my Axial 10.2 chassis. Now the reason why I've done a second take of this is because it's not the Unimog body that I ordered. So I got part of the way through. I'll put a clip in at the end maybe of me actually realising that this isn't the one I ordered. I ordered from Simon at Green's Models. He's got a few of them listed on his site. They seem they're as rare as hen's teeth. Apparently they're handmade, and I can vouch for that, having looked at this one. They come in and out of stock very, very quickly. So I saw the fire truck was available. They do them in TRX4 size, 324mm, and the more usual 313mm. So I saw a 313 fire truck version of the Unimog, which I really like. That for me was going to be the thing. Nice shiny red, crisp white, you know, kind of not your usual kind of truck and thing that I normally would do. So I was very excited about doing that, and that's what I thought was in here. But the guy who makes them has put the wrong one in the box. So what I've got instead is, here, the box had to be in there, otherwise it's not really an unboxing, is it? So the box is out the way now. So what I've got instead is this one. Ta-da! Okay, as you can see, it's single cab. The fire truck was a double cab. Single cab with a windowed box on the back. Now I'm going to keep this one, and what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to turn it into, I'm going to do it like German military, who were the main users of the Unimog, obviously being a Mercedes-Benz product line, and I'm going to do it in the 3-tone NATO camouflage. Now I haven't done a 2-tone, never mind a 3-tone camouflage, for 25 years or so. So it's going to, that was enough of a challenge for me. I'm not just going to spray it one colour and weather it like I do everything else. So that's going to be a big challenge for me. I'm going to get my old airbrush, my old Badger airbrush out, and I'm going to see if that still works, and I'm going to try and do a little bit of airbrushing. So there's going to be a challenge there in that sense, which is kind of cool. To have a quick look around, let's start with the cab first. Now, so you can kind of get an idea that this is hand built. It isn't moulded. It isn't injection moulded. Let me zoom in so you can see. Right, hopefully you can see there. This is just one side of styrene. This is a piece of styrene. This side. That's a piece of styrene. That's a piece of styrene. The interior is all moulded from it's all sort of formed from a sheet of styrene. There are lots of seams. You can see along the bonnet there. There's a fillet that's gone in where this sheet joins that sheet, which then joins that sheet. So this I don't know whether this has been printed or not, but this is all 3D. The badge is all sort of 3-dimensional. If you can maybe make it out there. You know, mock hinges on the doors, which is semicircular tubing of styrene. You sliced it in half down the middle, so you've got this kind of curved to represent the hinges. Just little panels cut out, huge. But they look like they've been used a router. Is it a router? Yeah, to chisel out the door joins and so on. The window surround there. It's so crisp and lovely, and the hand, you can see where he's sanded all this, the rounded sides of it, rounded edges off. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So it comes with a little interior. It comes with an interior. It comes don't think I can really show you this terribly convincingly. Where did I catch the light? Just there. There is a moulded dashboard on there. Here, where my finger is. So that's a moulded dashboard. So there are some dials. I mean, it's a flat dashboard anyway on the real one. So that's pretty cool. And a steering wheel, which is in the bag of goodies here. There's a steering wheel. But that aside, there is no interior. So I've asked a good friend of ours, Sean at RC over in New York. He's just done a Range Rover build with the sort of Range Rover interior. So I've asked him if that'll for the measurements, because I'm thinking this might not be too dissimilar to a Range Rover width. And I like the Series 1 Range Rover interior might fit in here nice. Dashboard obviously not, but the seats and the floor, yeah, it kind of feels like it might be a good match, rather than going entirely from scratch. So yeah, single cab, bolts onto the back, 5 screws on the back I should say, and then there's the box, which, so it's got again these lovely depth and little makeshift hinges on here. It's all crisp and lovely and very three-dimensional. You can see maybe better there. You see the depth to this. When you look inside, you can see the panel. You can feel the panel. I think all of these have been cut out, and then this has been made. This whole arrangement's made and glued on from the back. Really impressive stuff. Little toolbox down there. These tie-down points, I guess, is what they are. I'm guessing these are little position lights on the ends. So yeah, so inside there's a whole bunch of stuff. An awesome bumper. Look at this whole thing here. Let's get the. Look at that. I mean, how amazing is that going to look? Look at that. Look at the detail on that. How crisp and lovely that is. Headlights obviously here. Yeah. Fuel tank here. Right, I've just darkened this down a little bit just so you can see without the white styrene blowing out. But look at see all the white fillets in amongst what is now grey, and the shape on it. Look at the shape, the complex shape and the ribbing, and yeah, it's mighty. So yeah, 3-tone NATO colours, airbrushed. It's going to be. I'm going to get some of the AK interactive paints that Terry's been using to much success for his weathering and stuff. So I'm going to do it all with that, and I'm really going to try and go to town on this. If the fire truck arrives in the meanwhile, well, I'll have 2 Unimogs, and well, you know, there's worse places to be, isn't there, than in a jam about which Unimog to take out. So let me tidy all this away and I'll get the CA30 out. Oh, before we get the CA30 out, one thing. I've already organised the wheels for the Unimog, which are the Cross Ural UC6 wheels. And I'm going to run them on my, presuming I can mount them, as this hasn't got the steel inner inside, it's just the 2 shells. But assuming that they'll all fit on I'll mount up these cross tyres. So these are beautiful military tyres, which I don't use on the MC, and I think they will fit rather nicely under the Mog shell. What do you think? I think they go together pretty well. I think they'll be that'll be a pretty good look. So yeah, these are things of considerable beauty. With their, I know they're Russian, and I know they've got the kind of Russian tyre inflating arm system thing going on, but I don't really want to have just plain Land Rover Steelies on the Mog, which is really what it should have, I think. So I'm taking a bit of a license and putting some perhaps non-standard rims on, but you know, I'm allowed to have a little bit of a. Right, and here she is. So I'm not going to put her on the truck yet because I want to do an unveiling of the whole thing with the truck underneath it. You know, I'm kind of happy with how it's worked out. I've weathered it in my usual fashion. This may be the last one I do like this. I am trying to get something a little bit different texture and feel wise. I've done my usual acrylic wash, predominantly with not brown, with a green raw umber, but you know, it's a kind of darky muddy green. So that's the one I've used predominantly. I washed it all on and then I've rubbed it all off and left streaks and patches of it around in the corners and so on, just to bring out the panel details like the doors and so on. You can see there. In the flesh it's perhaps a little bit obvious, a little bit heavy, but I'm a believer that on camera it doesn't look quite as heavy as it does in the real life, especially if it's moving past you. You know, most of these things are going to be moving on film, so you have to be able to pick out the detail as it moves past. So it had that acrylic wash, it had some highlights. I highlighted everything in light grey, or maybe you can make out some of the light grey edging on here and on this panel where the ladder is. I don't like using bare metal for that edging thing, because it's a bit overpowering. Once you do the whole thing, it looks a bit overpowering. I have added a few bits of bare metal to some of the hinges, door handles, a couple of bits on the ladder rungs, you know, as a kind of subtle highlight. But to go all over with it, no. I've used a light grey, which takes the stain, the wash, and it you know, kind of blends in a bit better than metallic does. From there, I've deliberately added some streaking. Maybe make out some of these streaks, which again is just the wet with the acrylic, rubbing the acrylic off, and particularly rubbing away from the streak, leaving the streak behind. You know, I don't tease the paint down. I actually take the paint off, so the streak is the bit that's left on. I need to work on getting them more vertical. They're a little bit, sometimes they get a little bit curvy, which is not how a streak would be. There's been some flaws in the styrene, and that's just been brought out with the staining, and I've left. It's fine. So it was stained, it was highlighted. I've added a bit of green, I've added some brown with a sponge. That's one of the new things that I've seen people doing. Terry's done that on his race box. Do a little bit of a packing foam and then just sponged a few bits of dirt on. So some of these dirty bits up in the corners, I've had that treatment. And the final thing I did, a little bit of green moss and stuff like that. The final thing I did was to take my aerosol of khaki acrylic, and at an angle is to just spray quick, you know, maybe I think it was like this, just get most of the paint to miss, but just get wisps. So you can see there's that kind of, from the ground up, it's a bit more dusty down here than it is up top, which is obviously where the wheels and the muck generally is, and the rain is on this side of it, so the rain will wash a lot of it off and leave. Anyhow, you know how it goes. I'm particularly pleased with my window, which Terry suggested I should do, and I was a bit like, oh, I can't be bothered, do I have to? It's been a bit of a, you know, mission getting this done, but I'm glad I did. You know, I took these windows, the main windows are all thick perspex, so there's no flex, there's no give, they're quite strong, they're all wood glued in, PVA'd in. So I had to take that window out altogether, and I've replaced it with a thin sheet of really thin acetate, almost, you know, really thin clear styrene, and I've snapped it so that it's got a jagged edge, and then I've put behind it this is actually wood. These are from a spare slat from the C44, wherever that is. You know, the load bed on the C44 is actually is proper wood, balsa wood, I guess, stained, and I just used a spare one of those, cut it 2 sections off and glued it on behind. So it has actually been literally boarded up with some wood, and then I did some cracks on this bit, which, you know, I'm not sure how successful that is, in convincing it is, I should say, but that's what it is. So that, I'm quite pleased with that little bit of detail. So all that's left to do really with this is some form of illumination, and organise on the truck. I've got to organise the battery wires and things to reach and so on. What I have done at the back is put on some lenses, red lenses and orange lenses on the outside, so they're kind of clear orange and clear red plugs. You pop them in, I think you're supposed to put a really skinny LED up behind them. What I'm hoping is I'm just going to have some LEDs shining through the flatbed of the truck, which I then hope are going to be able to just illuminate inside the box, to give a glow through the windows, and just give a little bit of an illumination on these on these lights. I don't want burning LEDs. A bit like that, you know. That's what I'm after. So I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that, whether that's going to work in practice. I don't really know, but I don't really want to have a burning, a big burning sort of light glowing out the back of the truck. I don't really feel that that's appropriate for a dirty old Russian truck. Anyway, there you go. So stay safe, and yeah, look after yourselves, and we'll catch up with you soon. All right, cheers, guys. Bye.